Elite Facts presents
7 of the scariest ghost stories you just have to know.
7.
The dead girlfriend Facebook ghost. Reddit users were left unnerved when a young man named Nathan revealed that he was receiving Facebook messages from his girlfriend Emily in 2014. If you're wondering what's so weird about that, well, it turns out his girlfriend Emily met her end in a car crash 2 years earlier. It began when Nathan started getting old messages, which he dismissed as some kind of a Facebook glitch. But then Emily began tagging herself in his photos, and then all of a sudden, Emily used her first original words. Nathan tried to ignore these messages at first, but after having a few pints too many, he decided to reach out to what he believed was his girlfriend's ghost, and she responded with the line, quote, "Just let me walk," which chilled Nathan to the bone. According to him, quote, "In the collision, the dashboard had crushed her. She was severed in a diagonal line from her right hip to midway down her left thigh. One of her legs was found tucked under the back seat." Now, although this could have been a prank, a very, very sick and disturbing prank, it's still weird that they managed to get the details of that "just let me walk" line to fit in with the outcome of the accident. Very, very strange indeed.
6.
The real-life haunting in Connecticut. If you're a horror movie fan, you know that the film The Haunting in Connecticut is actually based on a true story. Like most based on a true story films, the facts of the events are exaggerated a bit, but the actual incident that occurred is nothing short of terrifying. In the 1980s, the family of Carmen Snedeker reported some very strange incidents in their Connecticut home. It was discovered that before moving into this house, it had been used as a funeral parlor. Paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren were called in to examine the home, which they came to believe was infested with demons. Speaking about the horror film that came later, Lorraine said the actual case was, quote, much, much scarier than any movie could ever be.
5.
The Enfield Poltergeist. If you've seen The Conjuring 2, then you're familiar with this scary story. Back in August of 1977, single mother Peggy Hodgson called police to her home in Enfield. When they arrived, she explained that 2 of her 4 children had told her that their furniture was moving around their rooms all by themselves. And as if that wasn't terrifying enough, they also heard knocking sounds coming from inside the walls. As you'd probably expect, the police were very skeptical about all of this, but they decided to take a look around the house anyway, and one of the investigating officers admitted that he saw a chair slide on the floor all on its own. The strange events continued, with demonic voices, loud noises, thrown toys, overturned chairs, and levitating children being reported by many paranormal investigators. American paranormal investigator Ed Warren later said that he'd actually observed one of the children, Janet, as she lay, quote, sound asleep, levitating in midair. He concluded that the children were the subject of demonic possession. 4. The Bell Witch, the real-life Blair Witch. Whenever a horror film is released, there's always some speculation about whether or not it's based on real events, or if the writers were maybe on something when writing the story. Well, as it turns out, the Blair Witch Project is actually based on real events that took place back in the 1800s. Back in the 19th century, the Bell family moved into a house in a small town in Tennessee. After just a few weeks, they began experiencing some very spooky activity that began with knocking and scratching on the walls of their house. Slowly but surely, the activity started to get more and more erratic and violent. The youngest Bell daughter, Betsy, was constantly tormented. She claimed to be either slapped or pinched out of nowhere, and strange, unexplained bruises would appear on her body. Other family members also reported feeling themselves being kicked or their hair being pulled. Eventually, John Bell became ill and died, and a black bottle that contained some type of poison was found next to him. Paranormal investigators believe the Bell Witch was the spirit of a slave seeking revenge. But why did the spirit show so much hatred toward Betsy Bell? We guess it will remain a mystery.
3,
The Black-Eyed Ghost of Cannock Chase. Cannock Chase in Staffordshire is reportedly haunted by the ghosts of 3 children who were victims of Raymond Leslie Morris back in the 1960s. Multiple eyewitnesses have reported seeing these children running through the woodland at night, and some have also claimed to have heard giggling in the area, while still others claim that they've heard them begging for help. 2 things always remain the same, however. The children are clothed in white, and they have frightening, staring black eyes. Ghostbuster Tom Buckmaster, who captured some disturbing footage, said, quote, "It looks like a child dressed in white. You can see the legs moving as it walks. I didn't even know I had captured the ghost until I went over the footage and thought, what the hell was that?"
2,
Lady in Welsh Folk Dress. In January of 2012, Paul Feehan booked a vacation to Abersoch to enjoy the rambling countryside. The Manchester-based property developer went on a hike with a friend, and while sitting down on a nearby bench to take a rest, his friend took out his phone and started filming the beautiful scenery and lake in front of them. But when watching the video later, the pair discovered a dark figure standing just a few meters behind them. The figure barely moved for the duration of the video, and after doing some research, Paul became convinced that the figure was a woman in Welsh traditional folk dress.
1,
The South Shields Poltergeist. In the northeast region of the United Kingdom, there's a small town called South Shields. It was here in the summer of 2006 that a young couple and their 3-year-old son were terrorized by a nasty spirit. Their real names haven't been revealed, but they're typically known as Mark and Marianne. According to multiple sources, the spirit stacked chairs, moved chests of drawers, and slammed doors. But this wasn't your typical ghost that did things just to scare you. No, this ghost was serious and malicious. One night, while in bed, Marianne felt her son's toy dog hit her on the back of the head. She sat up and turned on the lights just in time to see a second stuffed dog flying towards her. As the frightened couple cowered under the bedsheets, they could feel something trying to pull the covers away from them. All of a sudden, Mark yelled in pain, and 13 scratches appeared on his back. The scratches were gone the next morning. And while the poltergeist had shown that it could cause direct physical harm to humans, it seemed determined that toys were the way to go. The ghost hung a rocking horse from the ceiling by its reins. It placed a large, cuddly rabbit in a chair at the top of the stairs, with a sharp box cutter tied to its paws, and it left messages on the young boy's Etch-a-Sketch. They were typically threatening messages, like, "You're dead." It even sent text messages that couldn't be traced to any phone or computer in this world. The couple's 3-year-old son would sometimes go missing, only to be found hiding in random parts of the house, cuddled up with his blanket. They found him hiding in a closet once, and under a plastic table another time. The couple blamed all of this on their infernal house guest. Eventually, the family had enough and called on paranormal researchers Mike Hallowell and Darren Ritson. Even though Mark was found to be the sort of person who liked to play pranks, the experts determined that the ghost was legit and real.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.